Hello, my name is Jeff. I run the Great Matter Academy now. I've been debating on and off in total around 20 years. It's been a lot of fun, it's a lot of challenges, but something I really like about debating is how it makes me feel young all the time. I can just send you a CV 来自在 so long. My debate achievements. One is I was EFL Best Speaker of Asia when I was still actively debating in the university circuit. And after I stopped debating more actively in university, I started coaching a bit more often. Most of my debate achievements are Pro-Am tournaments and Open tournaments. And I have gotten 3 championships in Taiwan and 3 finalists in Taiwan, all of which were when I team up with my students. I won a championship in Korea. It was also an open tournament. Got to a grand final in both another Korean tournament and a Japanese tournament recently. I started GMA kind of by accident. I didn't intentionally go into professional debating. I was actually training to be a translator, my graduate school major. So I was training to be a translator, and the process of getting my graduation was just too long and too boring. And then halfway through it, I started doing something else to kind of relieve the pressure. So I started going back to the debating circuit and sometimes do tournaments. Sometimes there were high school kids, they were looking for someone to help them to go to WADC. So I started coaching here and there, but it wasn't like a serious venture. And then the need for people to get coaching starting to have more and more. And so I started to spend more time coaching people. Then I realized that this is something I actually enjoy. Then after a while, my friend asked me to work in China as a debate coach full-time. Then I took the opportunity to go to Shanghai and I started working. And I developed a lot of professional skills and how to manage class and how to manage the pressure of helping people, but trying to stay calm still at the same time. It is still very difficult. I'm trying to adjust to it, but I think right now I'm getting the hang of it. After a while, I come back to Taiwan to start my own company because I felt that if they could do it in China, there's no reason we can have our own professional debate companies to help the students in Taiwan to get better debating education as well. So that's where we are. Look for their debating abilities. I would never hire someone who I think is a lousy debater. I don't want someone who is just a pretty face or have a pretty CV, but is very bad at understanding the struggles that students are going through. I think an important mindset I have is even though the student right now, they don't know anything, that the kids don't remain kids. After a while, the kids will start to realize if their coach is not a good debater or they are not constantly improving, then they just get disappointed. And I think that is arguably worse than not having a debate coach to begin with, because then just become disappointed with the professional standard of the debating circuit. So that's the first thing I think is the most important. And then second is someone who is able to maintain calm under pressure. This I'm still trying to do, but I think I especially need these people to help me kind of balance out the vibe. Especially when a lot of students, when they first start, they don't really know what's happening and they just need someone to tolerate their mistakes. And having someone who is calm and then tell them that what they have done is okay, and they have personally done that as well, is extremely important in helping people going through that first couple weeks or even months of awkwardness. I think what makes GMA unique is how much we emphasize on competitive exposure and not just teaching students to speak English better or do things like presentation skills or how to tell stories. And GMA, the kind of lesson we give is always geared towards how you can practically exercise it when you go to a serious competition. And we don't settle for small things like, oh, as long as you can now speak louder and have a bit more confidence, then we're just gonna call it a day. No, we push students to go further than they think was even possible. And it's gonna be very pressurizing at some point, especially if the student don't want to be there to begin with. So we always make sure that a class is carefully curated so that we only keep the students that wanted to learn. They have the competitive drive. We have small classes. The students that ended up staying, they are mutually motivating each other to become better as well. And over time, I think the kind of environment you get in GMA means that you continuously get exposed to people who really want to learn. That's the most sustainable way for the student to improve over time. But if we started to go down to the path of just lowering our standards or starting to dilute the content of a class so that it becomes easier for people to get a hand on, yeah, they're gonna be happy for a short while, but very soon they will realize they don't learn as much here. And then it becomes a very demoralizing experience because they will still be spending a lot of time, but they don't get the progress. And we don't think that it's gonna be a very useful way to spend your weekend, really. I don't think there is a good criteria to say who will become a good debater, but what I think there are some common traits that the people become good debaters are people who have really strong persistence and desire to get better, and they don't let their ego get in the way of improvement. I think really the most important indicator of debating success is whether you are brave enough, whether you are able to face your frustration. Now, there's a saying, right? It's never about the good days, it's about how you recover from the bad days. So everybody can debate to some extent reasonably well when the motion is good. But it's those bad days when you have bad motion, when you have bad teammates, and you just had frustrations. And those are the moments where it really tell, can you press on and continue to ask yourself to do more. If you think about it, debating is never gonna get easy, right? But people think it gets easy, not because they starting to get easy motion, it's because they just get used to the stress and the frustration. And every time they lose, they take it less personally. They got less upset over the losses. There isn't really a formula to this. It kind of all depends on the needs of the students. I'll just separate it if this is about easy local tournaments or it's about easy local tournaments. I'll just focus on team chemistry, help them prep cases and understand the logical, what it takes to build a good case. And hopefully the mindset of building a good case can allow them to apply to other cases when they're actually on their own. But it's about more international tournaments. Likely, we're talking about the students already somewhat experienced. Then those are the cases where I will spend more time going through specific cases or clashes, predicting where an opponent is going to attack. I think the most interesting part is to see how a person develop into a fully functional person. They go from this someone who barely understands who they are and don't know anything about reality, and then gradually they become sensible human beings. And when you tell them something that they started to get a hand of it, that the joy of seeing someone transform is really sensational, right? And then you get this sense of, you're smart now. I think there are a lot of disadvantages for Taiwan debaters. One is we don't have a real mature debating community. A lot of debaters in Taiwan, they only go to debating lessons in school, and there are a lot of debaters who does other kind of format, and therefore they miss out on potential opportunity to go to more serious high-level debating. And we also don't have enough competitions to go around. And most of I think English education in public schools are still rather underdeveloped. So just by pure exposure and language ability, we are pretty behind most of the Northeast Asian circuits. So in international tournament, we often have to put a lot of work in building very basic delivery skills like manner, structure, before we can get to the real important stuff like the content strategy. But I think this is also an advantage for us to use. That is, a lot of native speakers, they have flowery languages, but they rely on the flowery languages. And when they don't have contents, they are unaware because the judges would often award them a win anyway, just because the sheer style and being able to make sense of very simple things. When we don't have that advantage, we focus more on content and we design strategies more seriously, because those are the only thing we have if we don't have the language and the cultural advantages to rely on. I think personally, I feel a lot as an EFL speaker. The reason why I was able to do better than most of the Taiwanese debaters was because I wasn't discouraged by my EFL disadvantage, but I tried to work harder in understanding the issues itself and use my very EFL language to build arguments, even if those arguments are built in a very unpolished manner. And I think world school and parliamentary debate in general awards people for content more than style. So for Taiwanese students to debate in world school style is actually the most effective way for them to bridge the gap between them and the native speaker. I just want people to have more confidence in taking risks. I think, of course, I want people to become successful in debating. I want them to win every single tournament. And I will be disappointed sometimes if there are people who don't continue to debate. But I never have that unrealistic expectation that that should be the end all and be all. It's just that if you get better in debating, obviously that means you get more out of the training. I'll be happy that you learn more from the training. But there are more people who don't continue to debate after a while than they are not. And even for the people who don't, I think it's important that they take the skill with them and know that when they are doing researches, for example, it's okay to not have an answer, but you give it a try. You make some hypotheses and try to go along with your logical analysis to get to a conclusion that you don't really have a proof yet. Or when you're making a presentation, you have the skill with you to just explain ideas without having a script that is written thoroughly. And you are able to try out new things once in a while and not be afraid of getting lost in a foreign country, for example. So a lot of my debate experiences kind of enable me to travel without the fear of not knowing where I am, because back in the days when we went to debate tournaments, we would go to new countries all the time and we would just explore places that was considered dangerous. Like we went to Thailand when people think like, oh, Thailand was going through political protests. Like we went to Philippines where most people thought the Philippines was full of murderers and thieves. But I would just go like, so what? And do it anyway. I think it's natural for people to be hesitant in trying something. And most of the people who started debating don't necessarily have to like debating to begin with. But I think you really have to give it a try because you never know what you're going to learn out of it. So my personal philosophy is you don't know what you don't know. If you only do the things that you feel comfortable with, you're never truly going to improve significantly. So if you tried it out after a while and you really have to give it a try, you don't just like try for 2 hours and be like, too difficult and you give up. Or I don't understand, so you give up. You have to really try something and then try to appreciate the things that you are picking up and then to decide whether this is the path you want to pursue. And maybe you do, maybe you don't, but you'll find out what kind of things you like and don't like as a person. And I think that can be a valuable experience by itself, even if eventually you don't try debating. Alright, I think to join debating is a commitment to yourself to do something that you're not comfortable and to decide to do serious training to show up every week and to commit to doing something that honestly is just very frustrating by nature. If you think about debating, it forces you to do something within a short period of time that is naturally outside of your knowledge base. The motions are designed to confuse you. They are info slides that give you a really weird setup and you have to defend a position that you are not comfortable with. Everything in debate is uncomfortable. It is challenging you to do something that is against every fiber of your body to stay calm. But you showed up every week to do it. And there are people who do it better than you. And you're constantly frustrated because you want to be like that. And there's no shortcut to get there. I think the person who can consistently do that are the person who are able to do anything they set their mind to. So to join a class and to train consistently and set your goal up high to be able to do that in international tournaments means that you have high goals for yourself. And when you are able to get there, through years and years of training, you don't even have to try to be a better debater. You don't have to try to be a better scholar, right? And I think you're just naturally gonna get there. So if you're hesitant to join debate, or you are not sure why join debate is even something that's worth your time, you should consider joining GMA, because this is a place where you can get the most quality experience, the kind of training that is gonna help you excel in the long run. And after a while, you don't even need a training anymore. You're gonna just be able to organically do all of these trainings on your own, and you're able to detect where you have done wrong and become independent thinker. That's really the goal, right? After debating a while, you have the rational capacity to think and be critical in everything that you encounter in your life. You don't need someone to hold your hands and make decisions for you. Your parent don't have to be there. Then your parent can trust you to make good decisions for yourself. Yeah, see you around. You'll see me everywhere. And if you're interested, just reach out.